Welcome to the Sand Rat Cellar here in the Final Fantasy Tactics All Oracle Single Class Challenge recorded in November of 2021. We only get 4 oracles here for this fight because we do have 2 guests, Algus and Delita. They're going to be joining us for this battle. You can see I picked characters that had the highest faith that I could from the soldier office, and we'll see what we can do with those characters as we work through this game. Cellar of the Sand Mouse, yes, that's right. There's a building here with some characters who kind of clump up, and normally that makes them extremely vulnerable to black magic, to ice to, those kinds of things, offensive spells. So it's nice to kind of ball them up inside of this building where they're talking, and then you can really go to town on them. My oracles are going to go to town on them, but sadly, we have a lot of single targeting things that can do damage or can petrify them. We have some multi-targeting things that can disable them, things like Don't Act, and we're building up enough MP to be able to cast Sleep. I don't think we'll see it in this fight, because Sleep is a more expensive spell, because it's a little bit better. Sleep is a really, really fantastic incapacitating spell. So Delita is still a squire, Algus is still a squire. They don't have weapons in their hands. They're just going to walk over. I don't know if they have any abilities or anything. I'm trying to keep them as weak as possible. They are going to soak up a lot of attacks from the enemies. There's nothing I can do about that. But that makes up for us only having 4 oracles. We are outnumbered here, so we have 6 enemies inside this building, and then there's 6 of us characters here, but only 4 of us are really equipped for this battle. Algus and Delita are not really equipped for this fight. They have next to no equipment on and no real abilities. So I like to think of this as 4 on 6, but we also get 2 kind of damage sponge bots. It's okay. 2 tank bots, I guess you'd call them. So right there is a juicy looking target for, right now it's going to be paralyzed for us for Don't Act. So Ramza's trying to get into position to do that. We're also looking to see if we should put the Faith status on. I'll talk about this a little bit. Most Oracle spells that are targeted, they have a chance to hit. That chance to hit is a number. That number is multiplied by the caster's faith over 100, and then multiplied by the target's faith over 100. So if your faith is 73, as Julia's is here, for Prey Faith, for example, I think it's 160 times 79 over 100. So it's going to have, that's going to take it, a 21% penalty on what it's going to be. And then that's multiplied by the target's faith over 100. So unless your faith is 100, which the faith status puts you into, then there's going to be some kind of penalty to the 2 hit. And then I believe the Zodiac alignments also have their own modifiers to that. So look at this juicy, juicy attack for Paralyzed. Don't Act, 97%. And they're also going to try to put her into Fate status if we can. That's kind of a low one. I think it's because of their alignment. Their Zodiac alignment is bad or worse compatibility. I've mentioned this before that I'm not a very good Zodiac alignment checker. I'm just something that separates me from the speedrunners of this game who are obsessive Zodiac checkers, because they really have to be when they are making plans of optimizing speedruns through this game. There's even routes of which alignment you choose to make Ramza. Depending on what Ramza's birthday is, you can kind of select what his Zodiac alignment's going to be. So I usually play with Ramza as a Taurus. That's just my thing. That's where I put Ramza's birthday in the Taurus range. So this is Paralyzed. This is putting Don't Act. It's not Don't Move, so they can still move around, but they cannot take an action. It doesn't last very long. It doesn't last as long as Sleep, but it's nice. So Delita doing some okay damage there with just a punch. It looks like Algus is going to move up here to take a punch as well on that knight. Pretty funny. So the monk's going to move in, and now the monk is in even better position to get hit with our spells. And he's got nowhere to go, really. These guys are just going to kind of move out of our range. The monk and Delita are just going to beat in on each other a little bit. I think the monk's going to win that battle because Delita is just an unarmed squire. So I could just let that monk just go to work on Delita for a little while, But because those other guys over there are in Don't Act for a little bit, I thought maybe I could sneak over here and work on this monk. I can get him paralyzed at least. The thought with paralyzing them, it does take a lot of MP. The thought with paralyzing a guy is just to kind of help save us some physical damage before we are able to then deploy the Petrify. Now that's actually a really nice chance to hit, so I didn't realize that it was going to be quite that good because, again, I wasn't checking Zodiac alignments. When she moved over there, I probably would have had Ramza do something else than try to do Don't Act on him, because it's pretty likely that that monk is going to be petrified. I don't know if it'll be petrified before that charge punch can go off, but hey, poor Delita. So anyway, she's going to start to go to work. Oh, nope, she's going with the Don't Act over on that knight, so she's going to try to reapply the Don't Act status for them. And that knight's just moving up. Again, they can't swing at us, they can't do anything, they can't shoot at us. These archers, that archer is going to target over because he was missed by the Don't Act. So she really needs to take care of that. Spell Absorb is an MP draining spell. The MP draining spells, it will drain a percentage of their MP, and it will drain it even if they don't have it. That's a neat thing with Life Drain and with Spell Absorb, is it will drain their points even if they don't have them to drain. It's based on what their max is. So here comes Don't Act, or Paralyze. Delita was going to get hit. He had a 100% chance on it. And the monk is in Don't Act status, so in case his Petrify does miss, then he's still going to be in it. Algus is going to get hit with the Don't Act. He'll take a miss, though. He'll dodge it. But the knight will suffer the Don't Act status. There goes Algus, though. That archer was able to squeeze a shot in onto Algus. That's okay. Let's see if this monk is petrified, and indeed it is. So that monk is out for this game. And we're going to try to maybe start petrifying an enemy or two. There's one right there. And if we can get a nice row of them, it can really kind of make it harder for these guys to get through. If we get a few paralyzed or petrified enemies there in that doorway, it's going to be tough for them to kind of navigate their way around. Sleep would be a good choice here too, because it's longer than Don't Act and it stops their movement, so I could just sit there and spam the Petrify spell at them as long as I wanted to. But Sleep just costs 24 MP, which is almost the entire spell point total. 34 is what they have total right now. It costs 16 to do Petrify, so he's just looking to see who he's more likely to hit. And again, I think that's based on their faith, differences in their faith number and their Zodiac alignment. This is a perfect spot for this particular Oracle to be, because she can target a lot of the squares around that doorway where the enemies are kind of congregating. There's a 100% Petrify, so she has a good comp to him, maybe best comp with him. Best comp comes from having good alignment plus having a male-female difference there, so that's one of the reasons that all of my Oracles are female units. Also, females have, I think, a base boost to their magic attack, their MA, and male characters have a base boost to their physical attack. So for that reason, I go for the female Oracles. Nothing wrong with the male Oracle sprite. We just won't really see it in this run because Ramza obviously stays his own sprite based on which chapter you're in. So they have to move basically every turn because they need to replenish their MP with the move MP up. And unfortunately, our casting is draining more of it than we have. We're casting these spells every turn, and we're losing MP faster than we're gaining it. That's not going to be a problem for very long. As they level up and get access to better robes and equipment, they will start to gain a little bit more MP a little bit faster. So that's why you're actually seeing her use MP Absorb right there, trying to suck some MP out of that knight so that maybe next turn she can do a Petrify. She could not in this first turn because she only had 10, even after she moved and gained the 3 or 4 that she gets from moving. So as this game goes on, we might be picking up, upwards of 10 or 20 MP per move, which is more than a casting of Petrify per move. So that's what we're looking for. So that monk is petrified. There's a knight that's petrified. Haven't seen any of these guys with item throw a soft around yet, so there's another character petrified. And so there's nothing they can do. Petrify will not expire unless someone can cast a soft or throw a soft. So these knights, there's not really much they can do. And that's why you can see we want to have a row of enemies blocking that door, because right now there's 3 squares that they cannot stop on. They can't stop on the petrified monk, they can't stop on the petrified knight, and they can't stop on Algus. So they're going to have to use like 4 move to be able to get through all of that. So actually, if I could block around Algus, they would be completely penned in there. Here I'm having Ramza try to cast Pray Faith so that we can have a boost to the 2 hit of our spells, so hopefully we can land those last couple of Petrifies. But as you can see, 19 after moving, she has just enough to cast Petrify, but then she's going to have to take 3 more turns of moving around or casting MP Drain to try to pick that back up. MP Drain costs 2 MP just to cast it, and it itself has its own accuracy that it has to roll, so it can miss. So it's possible for you to use 2 MP and miss and get 0 back out of it, but if you see they use 2 MP and they drain 8, they've only gained 6 MP, which again by itself is not enough to cast most of the spells that we do. Pray Faith costs exactly 6, but most of the offensive spells that we use, like Paralyze, costs 10, Sleep costs 24, Petrify costs 16. MP is a real issue here in the early game, and obviously, I know, they have access to spells that they're not normally supposed to have access to at this point in the game. It's not unheard of for us to have oracles at this point in the game. We could have oracles because it's just a priest level 2. But if you have oracles, you're not supposed to have access to all of these expensive spells for them. It would take quite a lot of regular JP grinding to pick that up. So casting Faith on these characters essentially gives them the Faith ability, but it also gives them some MP, or has a chance to give them some MP, because you can see they can trigger the Absorb Used MP. That'll do any spell that's cast on them. They have a chance to gain the MP that was used in casting that spell. So you can kind of give them some MP. Now, right here, if this lands, that's the battle. That's the ball game. But that knight seems to have insanely low Faith. So it's going to be hard to hit that knight, and I'm not really sure what to do in this one. You could just probably, the best call and what I go for here is just to keep moving around, gaining enough MP to cast Paralyze, and then trying to hit him with that. But you can see even the Spell Absorb is 52% chance of landing. So I'm trying to just improve our own chances to land something on him. One thing that we could do is we could try to cast Pray Faith on the knight, but even that has a Faith-based 2-hit percentage. So if we are trying to cast Pray Faith on that knight, we are still going to have to get through his low Faith in order to land it. Once we landed it, he'd have 100 Faith, and then it'd be a lot easier to cast stuff on him. But there's no guarantee that we'd hit it. It may have been worth a shot here. It may have, I hadn't removed basic skill from that oracle. We don't actually use Throw Stone or Heal. I had basic skill on them while I was getting them the JP needed to unlock Oracle. So when they were white mages, I had them throwing stones at each other and casting Cure to just pick up the JP. So at this point in the game, I had not yet removed those abilities. But casting Faith on each other is more reliable because we have a lot higher base Faith, so it's more reliable to land on for us. But the benefit is on the lower side. So if she has 73 Faith right here, Julia, Faith adds 27 to her Faith, and it just means that it's multiplied by 1 as we go through there. So we've got the 160 times 1, which is her 100 over 100, times the massive penalty that knight likely has somewhere in the 40s of MP or of Faith. So that was us trying to drain from the knight, but it missed as well, because that knight is just so hard to hit with as low Faith. So it's really just going to come down to when we can land a shot on him. We've got about a 30% chance, depending on the character, to hit the Petrify, and we're running low on MP. Now, Delita is getting in there. He's going to maybe try to start mixing it up. And I'm actually wishing Delita wouldn't do that because that knight may start to move towards Delita. There's Ramza. He's going to try to do Spell Absorb on that knight. So he's moving just so that he can get some MP. He's going to gain 4 MP there, and he's going to spend 2 to cast Spell Absorb. If it hits, he'll get 8 more. So a couple of turns of that might get him enough to cast a Petrify. But as you can see, having a really low faith character like this and low faith monsters can be a big problem too here later on when we have some of those monster fights. Having really low faith can be really hard for oracles to deal with. Now, later on in the game, they will get access to the stick type weapons. And in battles like this where we have a character, I will just move them in with their sticks and just start going to town with physical attacks because the sticks finally get them to where they can do noticeable damage to an enemy. And they can do it from a safe distance of 2 tiles away so that they are out of range of most counterattacks. So there, that Spell Absorb landed. Great. So she gained half of a Petrify's worth of MP right there. So that knight's just going to move. It's going to be hard for him to get out there. I'm not sure if he has 4 move or not without looking at his equipment. 3 is the base move, so if that knight has like a mantle on instead of a battle boots or something, that knight actually cannot get through there because the knight can't stop on Algus. So the knight is actually completely penned into that building, and the knight's probably, the AI in this is trying to probably just keep the knight close to us because he's the last moving character alive. Delita's going to start mixing it up with him. He's going to start punching him. Sergey. All right, there we go. And see, now this is where the knight's getting farther away from us, which is not what I want. He takes Delita out, but he's going to be harder to hit now with all of our guys because he had to move around Delita there. So I would have done something else with Delita. Or at least just move Delita right up next to the wall with us instead of just into the middle of that building where the knight can be kind of safely out of range. So here we're just checking to see what do we have, what do we have MP for? What do we have MP for? I've got MP for Spell Absorb. Now this part of the game, I'm also still mildly grinding for some experience against decently leveled guys. Eventually, we'll start to do all of our grinding in random battles because the story battles enemies are really low levels compared to us as we level up. That's a common issue in challenge runs. So we're going to see this knight. If he just stands there, you know it missed. If the knight goes into the hurt animation, like it being attacked animation during the spell animation, that's how you know that the spell is hitting. But if the character is just standing there, you know that the spell is missing. So here, this Oracle is actually casting Spell Drain on her own ally. And so it's kind of cool. She lost 11, and then she gained 2, but then that no MP prompt right there was her trying to cast her spell, which she was charging, but did not have enough MP for it. So that's what I was talking about, grinding a little bit. They're still sometimes attacking each other when we don't have anything else to do. Sometimes it's with Pray Faith, which is it's a buff. Sometimes it's with Spell Absorb, and we're like, whatever, I just want to take some MP from my ally. And now that could be useful if you have a character that has a better compatibility with an enemy like this. Like we want to go for who's got the best comp to this last remaining enemy. Well, let's have them soak up some MP from their allies, and have everybody else, kind of donate their MP. Because yeah, she's got 40% chance to land. So this is 4 out of 10. See what we can do. She does not have enough to cast Petrify. She's going to try to cast Spell Absorb, and you can see again how low a chance it is to hit. I wish I had actually checked to see what the faith was of this knight, but as I was recording this fight, it didn't really matter. I just knew that this knight has really low faith, and it's going to take a while for us to land to land something on him, especially a Petrify. Petrify has a lower chance to hit than things like Spell Absorb or Pray Faith or anything like that. So even the Spell Absorb, we're not having good luck landing that. All right, she's got 24 MP. If I was playing this again, I would say go for the Petrify. Whatever the percentage is, just go for it. So we've got 2 Petrifies charging on him. One that's 40, one that's 39. Hoping that one can land for us, and we can go on to the next chapter. All right, here we go. On to the next battle. That is the Sand Rat Cellar. Longer than it need to be because of a very low faith night. Could be a sign of things to come. If you like these videos, feel free to hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel, make me a comment, or hit me up on Twitter where I'm also active_ATE. We'll see you next time.